What's going on? Welcome to the Shonee Jackson Show. This is episode 21. Shout out to Primetime Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffs. We'll talk about them later, but thanks for joining the podcast. Like and subscribe if you're watching, and send it to friends if you enjoy the show. That'll help me a lot. Got to get these subs up on the YouTube page. Other than that, let's get right into it. We're going to got a loaded slate today. This is the early week show, so we'll review the NFL and college weekend. Obviously, the disaster that is the Dallas Cowboys, what I'm calling the hype beast franchise of all of sports. We'll have a topic of discussion on that and just them melting down at the seams. Going to talk about the atrocious suspension of Derwin James for I guess hitting a guy too hard in the Steelers game in a very physical, defensive-driven football game. Derwin James couldn't get low enough in his 6'4" frame. Now he's getting suspended against the Chiefs. Going to talk about that, how atrocious that is, how atrocious the targeting rule is. Like I've said many times, it's fake. It's not real. Highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. College football review over last week's games, Tennessee, Oklahoma, the contrast between the programs. Is this the best Texas football team and the best roster in the history of the football program? The Colorado Baylor game, the Baylor meltdown versus the Colorado triumph, and the storming of the field afterwards. What Deion said, why I agree with him. Michigan, USC, and Hugh Freeze to finish off the show and his comments after the game and his comments today regarding Arkansas. Let's start at the top. I hate being right sometimes, and I mean that. I really do sometimes hate being right. In this situation, I hate that I am so right. All right, and what I'm talking about right now is the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL and the modern QB market, making your guy the highest paid, paying him over $55 million a year, being the reality to what this QB purgatory thing that you hear all the time actually is. Quite frankly, I've been saying QB purgatory is fake this entire time, not to buy into it, that there's a formula that is currently clear and obvious to how teams win Super Bowls and consistently compete for them in this league, and there's a formula to how to eliminate yourself from competing for Super Bowls in this league. Well, actually, I take back that QB purgatory doesn't exist. I believe it does exist. It's just the opposite of what everybody likes to call it. It's not purgatory because you don't have a quarterback that's getting paid $55 million or more a year, or what you would call, I guess, a franchise quarterback, which is these guys that are the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. It's actually, once you get a guy in the top 10, or better yet, top 5 highest paid quarterback in the NFL, that's the trap. That's the purgatory. Let's talk about it. Through 4 weeks of the NFL season, the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL have a combined record of 10-18. Let's stretch that further. The top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, I believe, are 2-10 or 2-11. Dak Prescott is the highest paid quarterback and the highest paid player in the history of the NFL at $60 million per year. He is 1-2. The Dallas Cowboys are terrible. They're the hype beast franchise of the NFL. They're a laughingstock. They're embarrassing. He's 1-2. He's the highest paid player in the history of the NFL at the most important position in sports, we like to call it. I think that's dwindling down in the modern day NFL and modern day offense, and what we're seeing, there's not very many of these guys actually playing quarterback. At number 2, Joe Burrow, at $55 million a year. Him and Trevor Lawrence are tied at 55 APY. Actually, him, Jordan Love, and Trevor Lawrence are tied at 55 a year APY as the second highest paid players in the NFL, second highest paid quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Their combined record, the three of those guys, is 0-7. Joe Burrow's actually playing pretty good. The Bengals are still 0-3. They're a toxic locker room right now. They got all kinds of problems. They got more problems than a dog with 6 dicks, just like the Dallas Cowboys do. They're not a good football team. Look up the history of being 0-3 in the NFL. Your season's over. Your season's over in Cincinnati. Not happening. Trevor Lawrence, the Jacksonville Jaguars are bad. Doug Peterson might be the first coach to get fired. If it's not him, it's going to be Mike McCarthy's fat ass at the top of the Dallas Cowboys. Let me tell you something. This isn't a kid's show, the SJ show, especially when the Dallas Cowboys are really bad. This is not a kid's show. I'm on a other program that's more tailored for kids. Going to say fuck, shit, damn, ass, bitch on this podcast probably a lot today, given the play of the Dallas Cowboys the last 2 weeks. At number 4, Jordan Love. He's injured. He's 0-1. The Green Bay Packers are 2-0 without him this year. He should be coming back this week or the next. I don't know that he makes them better at this point. Tua Tagovailoa, he may never play again. If he does, there's a lot of people advising him not to. He's a concussion away from more problems in his life. I'm not taking shots at him, but more potential serious problems in his life. Brett Favre, not everybody's favorite person in the world, just announced today that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's while he's in court fighting a lawsuit. Look into it. Not good for Brett Favre. He announced today, though, publicly that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease recently. That's a reason Tua Tagovailoa is being advised to maybe never play the game again. He just got paid this offseason $53.1 million a year. And then Jared Goff is tied at 5th. They're 2-1 in the Detroit Lions. They look good. They got a great offensive line, a questionable secondary, a good pass rush, though, makes up for it. Detroit's good. They're a playoff team. They're one of the best teams in the NFC. Let's move on and talk about it even further. Look at the standings across the NFL through 4 weeks of the NFL. And also, let's just talk about the injuries. Tua, Jordan Love, Justin Herbert are all dealing with injuries. Those are guys in the top 7 highest paid players in the league. The Cowboys, the Bengals, and Baltimore are objectively bad football teams through 4 weeks of the NFL. Baltimore should have beat the Cowboys 50-0. A good team is going to destroy the Dallas Cowboys the way they stand right now defensively. They are a punk pussy defense with no effort. They're falling apart at the seams. They have no chemistry. Nobody plays gap sound, assignment sound. Nobody hustles. They're bad at tackling. They're bad at everything. They have no effort, no dignity, no spine whatsoever. And the Baltimore Ravens let us get back in that game because they were playing undisciplined and sloppy themselves. Let us get an onside kick and other things. Fat-ass Mike McCarthy went out of his way to make sure we lost that game himself, going for 2 when it was completely unnecessary. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, see my instant reaction after that. Mike McCarthy going for 2 and we got to 12 points is idiotic, unnecessary. I am so over this bullshit. I don't care what graphic ESPN or PFF puts up as you're watching a game saying it makes sense to go for it now rather than later. I've watched over and over again it deflate the hope of a football team when you go for it early in one of those situations as of waiting to go for it to tie it at the end of the game. It completely deflates a team when you don't get it. And secondly, those 2-point plays were atrocious. You should have at least one 2-point play that is borderline automatic with its creativity and what you're doing down there. There's way too many options that you have with the option game, just running it right up the middle with Zeke. Doing all kinds of other things, maybe an RPO in that situation, than what we did on those 2-point conversion plays. Those were atrocious 2-point conversion plays that looked like they had no chance. I digress. Moving on, let's look at the standings. Top highest paid quarterbacks of the NFL as compared to who is at the top of the NFL. The AFC, number 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3-0. Justin Fields still on a rookie contract on the last year of that rookie contract, the 5th-year option, I believe, or just the 4th year. I don't really remember. I guess he got traded. I don't really know how that works if he's on a 5th-year option. Still on his rookie deal, nonetheless. Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-0, playing elite defense, taking care of the football. He's getting better week by week. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, the 14th highest paid player in the NFL. He's due to get paid after this season. If I was Josh Allen, I'd advise him to look at this list and look at how it's working out for all the highest paid guys. Yes, I get it. Get your chickens, get your money. Do you deserve it? I understand that. But do you want to win Super Bowls or not? Because you have yet to sniff one because of that guy, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is locked in for the long term in Kansas City at $45 million a year. He's currently tied with Kirk Cousins as the 12th highest paid player in the NFL. And that's not changing anytime soon. In fact, he's going to go further and further down that list. And at any point, if he wants to pick up the phone and get more money, he can. He hasn't yet, and he's continuing to win. He's chasing a three-peat. That's the other team that's undefeated in the AFC. They're number 3. Number 4, the Houston Texans are 2-1. They just got molly-whopped by the Vikings and Sam Darnold. We'll talk about them in the NFC section. Which, by the way, where are they on this list? Why are they not even on the... This ESPN thing has it fucked up. They don't even got the Vikings on the NFC standings. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. A little scatterbrained here. Oh, yeah, there they are. They're number 1. That's my bad. But, anyhow, rookie contract, 2-1. Just got stomped by Sam Darnold and the Vikings, the number 1 team in the NFC. Number 5, New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. He's not even in the top 15 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And then every other team in the AFC is either 1-2 or 0-3. Gardner Minshew has a win. Tua got 1 win before getting injured. Jacoby Brissett has a win in New England. Bo Nix, a rookie, has a win in Denver. And then Lamar just squeaked out a win against what may be the worst defense in the history of the Cowboys franchise, rivaling the one a few years ago, Mike McCarthy's first year with the Dallas Cowboys. And then Deshaun Watson has a win somehow, and Anthony Richardson a rookie. So that's the AFC. Let's move on to the NFC. Top of the list, which might be the best team in the NFL through 4 weeks. The Minnesota Vikings look very, very good. They let their big money quarterback walk over there to the Falcons, and they took Sam Darnold. Well, they drafted a rookie. He ended up getting injured. Sam Darnold is their starter. He looks very good. He's probably in the top 3 as MVP candidates as far as I'm concerned right now. 3-0 Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold on a very favorable contract outside the top 15 highest paid quarterbacks. Seattle Seahawks, I keep hearing how they're going to fall off. Well, they're 3-0 right now with Geno Smith is their quarterback, outside the top 15 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Derek Carr at one time was the highest paid quarterback in the league. He's outside the top 15 of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. New Orleans Saints, they're in third place at 2-1. Now, New Orleans Saints, I'm going to talk about them here in a second with the review in that Eagles game. Their season's over if they don't get that center back very soon. That's the key to that train right there. That's the key to that offense. Their season is over if that center doesn't come back. I'll talk about that later. But 2-1, quarterback outside the top 15. Washington Commies, they might have the best quarterback in the NFC East. He probably will be by the time this season's over. They are 2-1. Rookie quarterback, rookie contract. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, contract outside the top 15, highest paid in the NFL. They are 2-1. They play Philadelphia, who is number 6 behind them. They have squeaked to a 2-1 record. A lot has fallen their way to go 2-1. A lot of lucks, a lot of breaks that Philadelphia has caught, like always. This Philadelphia team is not good. The offense is atrocious. Even Nick Sirianni said it himself. This is not sustainable. That defensive performance on Sunday was fugazi. Going to talk about that more later. At 7, you got Detroit. At 2-1, they got one of the highest paid guys. They just paid Jared Goff. They're built really well to do that, though. Okay, they got a really good offensive line. They got a really good running game. Jared Goff is perfect for that system, what they're trying to do, and they got a hell of a pass rush. Can they sustain that roster moving forward? We will see. Green Bay's won their 2 games without their big money quarterback. They lost the game they had with him, and he got hurt. They're 2-1. They're supposed to go on a Super Bowl run. Let's see how they do when Jordan Love comes back. The rest of the NFC has not won more than a game. The rest of them are 1-2. Atlanta Falcons, they just paid Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury. That was stupid. They're 1-2. Arizona Cardinals are 1-2 with the midget. LA Rams just upset the San Francisco 49ers. Matt Stafford's not in the top 15 highest paid quarterbacks. San Francisco, they're paying their quarterback $800,000 a year. They're still 1-2 because they got a lot of injuries, and it's kind of exposing what he is and what they are without all of those Hall of Fame football players. The New York Giants beat the Browns, and the Cowboys beat the Browns. Those are their 2 wins. Those 2 teams are playing for a shit bowl this week on Thursday night. That belongs to be on Thursday night. Thank God. Carolina Panthers are terrible, but they just won without their rookie quarterback that they benched. Their second-year quarterback, former number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. They just put in Andy Dalton and dominated. And then Chicago's got a rookie. They're 1-2. So again, let's talk about it. The top 10 highest paid quarterbacks are a combined 10-8. Those wins, 2 are by Justin Herbert. He's at number 7. 1 by Lamar versus Dak Prescott, who has the worst defense in the NFL. 2 by Jalen Hurts, and there's a lot of variables that go into those wins, but that's not because of Jalen Hurts. So where are we at now? That's 2, 3, 4 wins are by Dak Prescott, or 5 wins. 4 wins are by Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. Dak Prescott's on a bad football team. Lamar's on a bad football team. I think the Eagles are a bad football team. I think the NFC East is terrible. Jalen Hurts has more turnovers than any quarterback in the NFL over the last 2 years in 25. He's played very bad, very deplorable, and actually what we would call replaceable football. They're squeaking by, therefore he's squeaking by. Kyler Murray, that midget, sucks. Jared Goff's got 2 wins. Tua's got 1. He may need to retire. So, again, I'll finish off by saying QB purgatory does exist, but it doesn't exist the way y'all tell me it exists. It's actually the opposite. It exists the moment you fall into the trap of paying your quarterback $1 more than the last guy that got paid that hasn't won championships. The guys that are winning championships are outside of the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. The last 10, 7 of the 10 of them are Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. All right? Then there was Nick Foles had one. He wasn't a top paid quarterback in the NFL. The quarterback that they were paying was rookie Carson on a rookie contract and Carson Wentz. Who's the other ones? Matt Stafford won one. Wasn't in the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. He's tied for 15th with Daniel Jones at $40 million a year. So maybe he was during that time. And who am I missing? Drawing a blank on quarterback champions. But anyways, 9 of the 10 not in that list. So there's a recipe to winning Super Bowls, and it's not what they're telling you in national media. It's not the narrative everybody's shoving down your throat. It's definitely not the narrative that Cowboys media has shoved down our throat for years. Derwin James got suspended. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. He's suspended against the Chiefs going into this week. He appealed it. We'll see how that goes. I doubt it works out for him because Roger Goodell's the Antichrist. That's what he got suspended for. Right here. Suspended a game. I don't even know if a flag was thrown on the field. It's because they got hit with the crown of his helmet there. Do you know how physics works? Roger Goodell is on the top of my list of potential Antichrist men in today's world. Roger Goodell very well may be the Antichrist. He is ruining our game of football. Our game of football is ruined as we know it. Targeting is not real. I talked about this last week. It is a made-up rule as a PR ploy for Roger Goodell to pretend that he cares about player safety when he does not. These players are not going to be safe because this is not a safe game. Stop acting like you care about their safety when they're not insured beyond the fact. There's dozens of things that you could say that proves the point that y'all don't give a shit about their safety. You're still perking them up before games. You're still shooting them up with painkillers so they can play through injuries all the time. You don't care about their safety, and it's okay. Just say that and stop lying. Suspending Derwin James, a very good football player on the Chargers, in a very important game in their division against the Chiefs, because of a football play is absolutely cockamamie. This is not a dirty play. There's 2 types of tackles. There's dirty tackles and there's tackles. This is not an egregiously dirty tackle. Derwin James is about 6'4", 6'3 and a half. This is as low as he can get. All right, he can't get any lower than that without hurting himself. You could say he launched a little bit. Yes, that's what you do when you hit somebody. People like Roger Goodell and everybody involved with making these new cockamamie tackling rules have never tackled anyone. And if you ask me, I don't think people that have never tackled anyone, especially at this high level of the NFL, should be making the rules on how to tackle people and policing tackling. That is the biggest problem we have, and all of the problems that we got in football and the NFL today is how they are policing tackling. There is way too many rules against tackling where you can flag and fine on every single tackle that is made. That play happened so fast, nothing processed in Derwin James' mind to be egregiously dirty there. If anything, fine him. But the crown of the helmet rule should be only when a player completely shuts down the crown of the helmet. Not when you get hit with this part. That is just the forward lean of the body and how physics works. Okay? When you forwardly lean, your head is going to lean a little bit as well. These plays happen a lot faster than these frame-by-frame replays they show us and then they say that it's dirty. This didn't happen this slow. It happened way faster than this. This is frame-by-frame.
Both of them have been on
He's
games.
leaning forward so he can knock the player back.
So watch right here.
That is what
This
you're
is the middle of
supposed
the
to
field.
do.
One-on-one. Go up.
This is how you hit people. This is how you're trained to hit people. Otherwise, you're going to get hurt yourself. Pat Freiermuth is a big-ass tight end. You can't come in sweet against Pat Freiermuth. And if you're going to police this on defensive players, then you have to police it on every single running back that dead ass lowers his helmet every single time he goes to initiate contact on a defender. It happens in every single game. And there's not one fine to a running back or an offensive player that does it. Not one. Not one suspension. Not one flag thrown. Not one fine handed out. This is bullshit because Will Smith made a movie and Roger Goodell is the Antichrist. He's fugazi. He's a pathological lying piece of fucking shit that only polices what he thinks makes him look good from a political stance, not what he actually thinks is keeping the players safe. Roger Goodell is an asshole. And as long as he's running this league, it'll continue to get worse. The officiating will continue to be historically bad and in the way of the game and the product. And defense will just get more and more handicapped. Roger Goodell is the devil as far as I'm concerned. I hate Roger Goodell. He's the worst thing that's ever happened to the NFL. That is a cockamamie rule. The Dallas Cowboys are the hype beast of the NFL and of all sports teams and all sports franchises across the world of sports. What do I mean by hype beast? They are driven by fashion, designer, flashy-looking things that are overpriced and not sustainable. Nothing of substance, everything overpriced, everything flashy, everything fugazi. That is a hype beast. They are the douchebag of the NFL. That's what the Dallas Cowboys are. Let me show you why.
Pretenders, and the Saints are a very good team. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson said they're pretenders. They're not. There ain't no contenders. They're pretenders, and they have Derek Carr. Remember that. I don't know who C.J. Gardner think he is, bro. I mean, we've been dealing with this cat for a while. I mean, we just gotta be a little bit real right here. Like, I think Derek Carr has validated himself way before CJ has ever done. Like, in the most respectful way. I'm not taking away anything, but Derek Carr has been a Pro Bowl quarterback, before, highest paid quarterback before. Like, let's be real. Like, Derek Carr has always been. All
right, the next minute is Micah Parsons mumbling that same exact thing that he just said, mumbling Derek Carr being a pretty damn good quarterback, which is what he was trying to say. He just kept saying pretty damn quarterback. A lot of mumbling on his very bad podcast that gets a lot of views so people can clip these things and make fun of him. CJ Gardner-Johnson is a cheeseball asshole, sucks, makes more negative plays than positive plays. He's a troll. Nobody likes him. Nobody respects him in NFL circles or in NFL fan bases. That's all true. Same can be said right now about Micah Parsons, though. Is Micah Parsons a much better player than CJ Gardner-Johnson? Absolutely. Has Micah Parsons played good this year? Absolutely not. He sucks this year. His eyes are bad. We're bad. He's a part of the worst defense in the NFL, and he's getting on a podcast doing shit like this. It doesn't stop there, though. Let's look at what Micah Parsons' peers on his own teams think about it.
Dominated the front all day long. Big 22 finding pay dirt.
Here's Micah Parsons yelling at his defense when he's not playing good. Here's Tank Lawrence telling him to shut his fucking mouth. Said shut the fuck up. See that? Not me. He said it. Said shut the fuck up. That's shut the fuck up out of DeMarcus Lawrence's mouth. If you're not a lip reader, I am. Said shut the fuck up. Why is he saying that? Because Micah Parsons isn't making plays. Micah's eyes are bad. He's going to come back with, I had 7 of our 13 pressures. Those pressures did not matter, and you didn't finish any of those pressures. That's the problem, okay? Micah Parsons bid on every zone read that was running the game. His eyes are bad. If you motion a receiver or tight end in front of him, it freezes him for a second and a half. He gets pinned by receivers and tight ends all the time in the running game. He gets attacked in the running game over and over again. So if you're not consistently doing your assignment and you're not playing to standard that you're supposed to play at, you can't just be the leader of your team because you decided to be. Your peers will tell you that you're not. And that's what that was right there. It goes beyond Micah Parsons. The meltdown is happening everywhere. Right? Show you some more here. Here's the highest paid receiver in franchise history, second highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL, CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb. I still love CeeDee Lamb. This is Dak Prescott and Zach Martin that he's yelling at right there. And then that's what you call a temper tantrum.
Some stats. Talked about the frustration.
Why don't we? Hype beast team of the NFL. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible because they fucking suck. Can we pull up just season team stats here? Just talk about the last 2 games. Against the New Orleans Saints. Pull up the full box score. Against the New Orleans Saints, the Cowboys gave up 190 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns or 4? Alvin Kamara had 3. They had 4 rushing touchdowns and 190 rushing yards. Against the Ravens. They gave up 456 total yards, 7.6 yards per play, 274 rushing yards. The Ravens had 13 penalties for 105 yards, which usually can be detrimental in a game. It did not affect them whatsoever. The Cowboys had a fugazi bullshit comeback, got an onside kick, yada, yada, yada. They were never going to get the stop they needed to win that game. And the reality is, I talk about the atrocious decision-making at Mike McCarthy, and it does need to be pointed out that that fat ass continually gets fat brain in the most important situations as a coach, in game management situations and decision-making, and he always makes the wrong ones. Needs to be acknowledged, needs to be pointed out. His seat is as hot as it's ever been, as hot as it could be. And yet, it wouldn't have mattered. The Ravens would have got the ball back and marched right down the field, either kicked the field goal to win the game or just scored a touchdown with ease. We were never going to win that game. The Ravens showed signs that they are a bad football team. I don't know if this is a playoff team, to be honest with you. The Baltimore Ravens, their division appears to be a little bit bad. Cincinnati's 0-3. They're 1-2, but they don't look like that good of a football team. They had a close game with the Chiefs week 1. Guess what? The Chiefs are just always in one-possession games. That's what they do. They're one-possession games. They win them. And then the Ravens lost to the Raiders and almost blew this game against the Cowboys somehow. The Ravens controlled time of possession, 34 minutes, 45 seconds to 25 minutes and 15 seconds. They outgained the Cowboys 456 yards to 412. Offense is getting some yards. They got in the end zone. Dak Prescott played good enough. Yes, he did. Is Dak Prescott the reason we lost the game? No, he is not. Is he the reason we can't stop the run, haven't been able to stop the run? No, he is not. And yet, does he miss way too many throws to be the highest paid quarterback in the history, the highest paid player in the history of the NFL? Yes, he does. Excuse me. Yes, he does. Dak Prescott is consistently behind his receivers, and he always has consistently thrown the ball behind receivers and off target. He does not have elite accuracy. He never will have elite accuracy. He doesn't have elite arm strength. He's never going to have elite arm strength. And now he has lackluster mobility. He's just, quite frankly, he's slow. He is not a threat as a mobile quarterback anymore. He can run because he's kind of thick and he just will run, but he's not really a mobile threat. If you have to put any focus on him doing that whatsoever, it won't be hard to stop. Offensively, we lack weapons. We lack consistency. We lack consistency in our offensive line, which is to be expected when you got 2 rookies there, but the 2 rookies aren't really the problem. I think Guyton had a holding call that really hurt us, but he's a hell of a lot better than the other tackle. Terrence still sucks. He got paid and he's been bad. CeeDee Lamb got paid and he's throwing temper tantrums. Donovan Wilson got paid and he sucks. Malik Hooker got paid and he sucks. Dak Prescott got paid and we're 1-2. We look like a bad football team. The NFC East looks bad. This is a year in the NFC East where you're either going to win the division or have a top 10 draft pick. I would rather be on the latter at this point. Winning games right now, the way I see it, is not going to do us anything because we'll get the doors blown on us off of us if we somehow squeak into the playoffs because our division's bad. All right? This team is bad. It's a bad culture. It's not a schematic issue. It's a culture issue. It's the hype beast culture that the Dallas Cowboys have, the entitled culture, where we got our quote-unquote self-proclaimed defensive leader has the most embarrassing defense in the history of the franchise, arguably, that he's on right now. And he's doing a podcast talking about other players on other teams. This is a joke. We're a joke. And it needs to be said that they're a joke. Last point I want to make on the Dallas Cowboys. For the fans that say, don't switch up now, Dak Prescott, it was walking into the locker room and saying something along the line to don't switch up, don't run now. Who the fuck is switching up? Who the fuck is switching up? Stop saying that stupid cornball shit. It has been almost 30 years. It's been 27 years of my life. Nobody's gone anywhere. Nobody has switched up. My dumbass predicted this team to win the Super Bowl again this year. My dumbass is going to do it again next year. I've never switched up. We do it every single year. We buy in to this bullshit Fugazi franchise. It would be idiotic and, like I like to say, cockamamie for us to not be critical and embarrassed of this franchise at this point. Shut the hell up talking about you're switching up, you're switching up, you're switching up. You guys should switch up if you're saying that. Whoever says that stupid shit, y'all should switch up, because the fact that you're not holding this team to the absolute fire, top to bottom, from the coaching staff to the quarterback to the players to the defense to every single player on this roster, every scout, every coach, everybody that gets a paycheck from the Dallas Cowboys deserves to be put to the fire right now, because this is an embarrassment. You're the most valuable franchise of all of sports by a wide margin. Okay, you're the most talked about franchise in all of sports by a wide margin, and you're an absolute joke and laughing stock. There's a lot of really rich football players on our football team that have done nothing but collect checks in reality. Nothing substantial for this franchise. Nothing that nobody else has done over the last 30 years. So I'm talking about switching up. Nobody's switching up and going anywhere. I was born into this bullshit. I don't have a choice. All right? Nobody's switching up. Nobody's going anywhere between that and what happened to your Dallas Cowboys. Every single person I hear that threatens me to not switching up or ask me that stupid ass question of what's happened to my Dallas Cowboys, you're on my hate list. I got an active hate list. I'll post it on my Twitter sometime this week. I got an active hate list that I update. You can't come off of that hate list, okay? It's like LeBron James, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Roger Goodell's up there with LeBron James, the Megan Rapinoe. It's an active and constantly updated hate list. Nelson Cruz, DeMarco Murray, Patrick Creighton's on my hate list. It goes on and on and on. I got a hate list. It stays updated. I'll always update it. A lot of the people on that hate list are on my list of potential Antichrist list. If you fucking tell me that I'm switching up, or if you ask me what happened to the Dallas Cowboys, that stupid ass question, you're on the hate list. And when you're on the hate list of SJ, I notice every mistake you make the rest of your life and I comment on it. That's what happens when you're on the hate list. Ask Roger Goodell, ask LeBron, ask anybody that's on my hate list. I notice every mistake you make the rest of your life, and I make sure you notice as well, because I'm going to comment and I'm going to remind you about it until I'm in heaven. All right? That's what's going to happen. Don't say stupid shit anymore. Stop. This team is a joke. We haven't been past the divisional round in my lifetime and most of our lifetimes. All right? I'm done with the Fugazi Supreme brand Dallas Cowboys. They can kiss my ass with this bullshit product they're putting out every year, every week. And if you don't feel the same way, then you're not a real fan either. All right? So kiss my ass with the switch up narrative and the what happened to your Cowboys? What happened? What happened to your Cowboys? Let's move forward. Jayden Daniels looks really good. Jayden Daniels, sorry. Not to be confused with Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels does not look very good for the Kansas Jayhawks. Jayden Daniels was 21 of 23, 91.3% completion percentage, a rookie NFL record. I don't know how that's not just an NFL record. 293 total yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 141.7 passer rating. Yeah, I tried to warn you guys. When I was begging to wait on Dak Prescott, on signing him. I said, look at our schedule. This could be impeding embarrassment. I know I'm predicting the good to happen. I was talking myself into Super Bowl potential, playoff chase, yada, 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 like any good fan would do, and like I'm going to do again next offseason. We pay him, you got to buy in. I say, okay, he's going to win the MVP. Fuck it. Look it. He's good, whatever, buy in. I told you guys this offseason, Jayden Daniels might be the best quarterback in this division by the end of the year. And if we're looking up and we're paying Dak Prescott $60 million a year, and the rookie in Washington with our former defensive coordinator as his head coach is the best quarterback in this division by the end of the year, then that's going to be a bad decision that we paid him. All right. And then it was my overall belief in what I talked about to start this show, and the fact that the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks are combined 10 and 18 to start the year record-wise this year. And half of them are injured. The other half are playing bad even if they are winning games. I wasn't saying not to pay Dak Prescott because I think Dak Prescott's a bad quarterback. I wasn't saying it because I think finding the next quarterback is just super easy. I wasn't saying not to pay Dak Prescott to hurt the Dallas Cowboys. I was saying it to help the Dallas Cowboys, you dummies.
Motherfucker. Really? I'm just trying to help you.
I'm just trying to help you. I don't talk for my looks, fellas. This is a show for the fellas. I'm trying to get Lombardi number 6 to the Dallas Cowboys. How do I get Lombardi number 6? By trying to help the Cowboys, not hurt them.
Motherfucker. Really? I'm just trying to help you.
Motherfucker.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, motherfucker.
You do need it.
You do. You do need my help, sir. Motherfucker. Really? I'm just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, motherfucker. You do. You do need my help, sir. Can't you see that, you son of a bitch?
Could you please just let me check out my groceries?
Fuck you. I'm trying to help you, motherfucker.
It's like, so can you just please sign Dak? He's the best quarterback our franchise has had.
Fuck you. I'm trying to help you, motherfucker.
Wow. This is...
You gotta ask Jesus Christ.
I don't have to do anything.
We're all sinners.
Okay.
He's not gonna force you to do it.
You're sinning right now.
No, I'm not, motherfucker. You fucking accuser. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking accuser.
Yeah, that's I was called an idiot. I was called not a real Cowboys fan. Everything you could think about. I was just trying to help. I was trying to tell you, I saw it coming. I could see the forecast. Doppler Shonee saw the forecast coming in. I was just trying to help the Cowboys, not hurt the Cowboys, motherfucker. I was trying to help. And we paid him anyways. We kicked the can down the road anyways. It's not that it's his fault we can't stop the run. It's the terrible defensive players and personnel, and we don't have the money to stop the run and get the personnel to fix it. Yes, that's the truth. Derrick Henry, Zach Moss, whatever players y'all want to talk about we could have signed this offseason would not have made this atrocious run defense better. Get that through your head. Where's the Eagles Saints shit I had pulled up? I thought I had the Eagles and Saints pulled up. I guess I don't. But let's talk about the Eagles and Saints. There's not a whole lot to get into, honestly. The Saints went center going down. Destroyed their offense, all right? Their starting center is one of the best centers in the league. He was the key to that outside that offense all year long, that running game all year long. First drive of the game, the Saints come down. They're marching right down the field. They have a bullying, dominating 9-minute drive to start off the game. They end up, center goes down at the end of this drive. They have to move their right guard over to center. So now they got a backup center and a backup guard dealing with Jalen Carter. All right, that didn't go very well from the very first snap to the last snap that those guys were inserted into the game. And then in the second half, the left guard got hurt. So now you got two backup guards and a backup center dealing with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. It played right into the Eagles' favor. Therefore, the Saints couldn't do what they wanted to do. They couldn't run the ball. And Clint Kubiak, who myself and many others bragged about all week last week, could not adjust. He continued to try to run play action on early downs and do other things. It was getting blown up in the middle. They didn't have the protection to run the play action the way that they do on the high clip that they do, at the successful clip that they have the first 2 weeks of the year. And it all backfired, right? So they didn't do anything offensively. But defensively, they really shut the Eagles down all game long, got multiple turnovers. As I said, Jalen Hurts is a dumpster fire. That scheme sucks ass. It is really, really bad. I understand the Eagles got injuries too. Kellen Moore's bad. They get no spacing on their routes. The route combos make no sense half the time to me. Jalen Hurts still bails from the pocket way too soon. He can't go through progressions. He can't deal with pressure. He doesn't get his blitz pickups calls right. Jason Kelce being out is a really big deal for them. And it's not sustainable. Even Nick Sirianni, the biggest douchebag in the history of coaching football, he even acknowledges the way that they're playing football right now is not sustainable. Their defense in that performance this week was completely fugazi. The NFC East is bad this year. All right. And like I said, to start this little segment, Jayden Daniels will be the top quarterback in the division by year's end, I bet you. Heisman Trophy winning number 2 overall pick Jayden Daniels, his ceiling is way higher than all 3 quarterbacks in the NFC East. All 3 quarterbacks in the NFC East are under big contracts. They're in the top 15 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's look at it. Dak Prescott, number 1 all time, $60 million a year. Jalen Hurts, number 9, $51 million a year. Daniel Jones tied for 15th at $40 million a year with Matthew Stafford. Is Daniel Jones as good as Matthew Stafford? No, he's not. Yep, QB purgatory though, guys. QB purgatory. QB purgatory is not what you think it is, guys. It's actually the exact opposite of what you think it is. But what do I know?
I'm just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, motherfucker. You do. You do need my help, sir.
You do need my help. You should listen to me. Is that all for NFL? Yeah, thank God. All right, let's get to the good part of the podcast. We're 40 minutes in. Let's get to the good part. Speaking of people I tried to help, and I tried to warn you, and I tried to tell you I wasn't being a dick. I wasn't trying to bury you while you're down. I'm not a kick a guy while they're down guy. Actually, that's a lie. Yeah, I am. Oklahoma sucks. I told you sucked. I told you sucked coming into the year. I said all year long as the season went on and progressed, your offensive line's bad. I said it coming into the season. You lost 7 of the players that played on the offensive line last year. You're going to be bad. Bending balls can't fix bad players, all right? You can't make bad players good players in the SEC. You can mask bad players in the Big 12. You can't do it in the SEC, and that showed last Saturday. The Oklahoma Sooners, you want to hear some stats real quick? They had 98 total yards of offense through 3 quarters last week. Through 4 quarters, they averaged 1.1 yards per carry against Tennessee. Tennessee, I told you, had a very good defense. You told me it was because who they played. I told you no, they're very good. They're very deep. They got guys at Tennessee that they haven't had in the last few years, and you did not listen to me. Why?
I'm just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, motherfucker. You do.
You guys think you don't need my help. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing this to protect you. Jackson Arnold got benched for Michael Hawkins. It was announced this week that Michael Hawkins will be the starter going into this week and likely moving forward. The Oklahoma Sooners have a Garrett Gilbert situation going on at quarterback right now, and it is going to be detrimental to their program. All right? Garrett Gilbert, if you don't know, was a Gatorade National Player of the Year out of Lake Travis. He was the first major quarterback out of Lake Travis, coming out of what is now a powerhouse. He played under Chad Morris back in the day. He was committed to Texas, was the replacement of Colt McCoy, was supposed to be the next big thing. There was people out there that told you he was a surefire of a prospect as there ever was going to be. He ended up not being that. He couldn't overcome the roster fall off that the Longhorns had following that 2009 season. It actually just was not that good of a team. The roster had fallen off, like Oklahoma's roster has fallen off since Lincoln Riley walked out those doors. And those teams are even shallow. So whatever, but it's fallen off, and Jackson Arnold was the future. They pushed Dylan Gabriel out of the doors because they were ready to move forward to Jackson Arnold. They thought the ceiling was higher with Jackson Arnold, and they pushed Dylan Gabriel out of the doors to Eugene, Oregon, where he's undefeated right now, right, in a top 10 team AP for what that's worth. They pushed him out. It's not like they pushed him out, and then Jackson Arnold was atrocious. He was really, really bad this year, and he was really bad against Tennessee. Let's pull up the full box score. He was 7 of 16 for 54 yards passing, 3.4 yards of completion, 1 interception, and I think 2 fumbles. All really bad, and they blame him for everything. They blame him. He's the entire reason it's bad, and he's a lot of the reason. But the scheme at Oklahoma is terrible. The offensive line is really bad, and the scheme is really bad. All right, I don't know what they're doing in the RPO game. It is quite frankly the worst, most atrocious RPO game I have ever seen, and that did not change when Michael Hawkins got in. In fact, they just had to stop running the RPOs, which is what led to success. He ended up going 11 of 18 for 132, 7.3 yards and a touchdown, 58.9 QBR. Rushing-wise, he had 12 carries, 22 yards, 1.8 a carry, 11 was his long. Let me tell you something. Those passing yards came from him running around, playing backyard football. They didn't really know what to expect from him at Tennessee, and quite frankly, Tennessee was in cruise control by the time he came into the game. Tennessee was in bleed the clock, don't make any mistakes. and win this game mode on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball, and that's what they did. They knew that as long as they didn't make mistakes, they would win the game, and the only way that they could lose the game was by making mistakes. You don't believe me? Hold on, let me find it. Where's the clip I have of Heupel? Here it is. Oh, no, here's his post-game clip. There was another one. All right, let's play this one. Oklahoma fucked up with Josh Heupel. They fucked up bad. Watch this.
With Heupel.
Well, Coach, going on the road, winning your SEC opener, and it was done with your defensive performance. How do you describe how they dominated this game?
Yeah, man. Great road win, coming to a great environment against a really good football team. Defense played lights out. Can't say enough about the performance. Dominated the line of scrimmage, made it uncomfortable for the quarterback, played tight coverage, got off the field, third downs. Special teams were solid. Offensively, a little bit different game as the game unfolded. Adjusted to their structure, and then second half, pulled it back a little bit. Just playing, a complete football game with the way our defense was playing.
I know you didn't want to make this game about you. All week long you've deflected questions, but I saw your quarterback just come and give you the game ball. What did he say, and what does that mean? Well,
this game coming back for our football team wasn't about me. It was about this 24 journey in our football team. But they realized it was important for me to come back and that I want to get a win.
You've won a lot on this field, Coach, as a player. Now as a coach, your dad's standing over there on the sidelines, your family's here. What does this mean to win this one in your return?
Ultimately, I know Mom's watching up top, but this is the next step for this football team in this journey.
Yeah, the last quarterback to win a national championship at Oklahoma, Josh Heupel, who they fired when he was their offensive coordinator. Now he has a complete program at Tennessee. There's another clip I want to find. Here it is. Here's him telling Nico Imamaliva after the game that he pulled back on the playbook. You hear that? I pulled back on the playbook to win the game. So I know Oklahoma, they think they got the 85 Bears defense, and they got a good defense. Oklahoma does have a good defense top to bottom. They're pretty complete defensively. And yet, they could not keep up with the Tennessee wide receivers, the speed of those receivers early in the game, which is when Tennessee started to pull away in that game, hit big plays down the field, big touchdown passes, and things of that nature. Tennessee pulled back. Their running game couldn't get going because schematically the veer and shoot lines up very well with what Brent Venables and that where the strength of that OU run defense is, runs right into that, okay? So the scheme worked out in that way where Oklahoma would be strong against the Tennessee running game. Whereas when you play a Steve Sarkisian, when you play a Steve Sarkisian this year, he's going to attack you in outside zone the way Tulane did and had a lot of success. Right? Your edges where you're not as strong in the running game. Josh Heupel got fired from Oklahoma, not because he was bad. Yes, he could have been better, but I'm pretty sure Blake Bell was his quarterback. It's not like they had this loaded team with elite skill all over the field. They had the worst defense in America, and it was because of Bob Stoops' brother, who was actually very incompetent in Mike Stoops. Mike Stoops should have been fired, okay? Not Josh Heupel. It ended up looking like the right decision because they brought in Lincoln Riley, but they continued to have atrocious defense year after year after year with Mike Stoops and others after the fact. It was the defensive side of the ball that was the issue, not Josh Heupel. Now Josh Heupel has a legit national title contender in Tennessee. He's got an elite defense and an elite offense that could put up a lot of points on basically anybody in the country. There are games I'm not like that high on the veer and shoot. I don't necessarily love it. I do think that when you run into a formidable opponent, that you can run into trouble. You can run into a lot of 3 and outs. You can run into struggles with the running game, things of that nature. But this is as good as it gets, and Tennessee's as good as it gets. And I think this team's got as good of a shot as anybody in America to be in the SEC championship and playoffs this year. All right, and so in my preseason show and the build up to this week, when I circled that Tennessee game as the beginning of the end to Brent Venables, when I told Oklahoma fans that it was a terrible decision to extend Brent Venables when he hasn't done nothing warranting a decision to be extended, and what I said, because Josh Heupel is out there, and that is the one big fish that I think y'all can reel in, make amends with him, bring him back as your head coach. He is out there. He would take it. Now I don't think that he will. He's got a program at Tennessee, and you're looking at a program at Oklahoma that seems to be bleeding out in my eyes. Michael Hawkins is a decent quarterback. May even be really good one day. I think he's a gamer. I think he can make plays. He is not good enough to overcome that atrocious offensive line and the lack of weapons that they have. Brennan Thompson is not scaring anybody in the SEC. Hate to break that to you. Brennan Thompson got buried on the Longhorns depth chart, and we had no problem letting him walk over to Oklahoma. Don't forget that. All right? That offensive line is just bad, and it's going to continue to be bad. You can't just flip on a switch and decide to be good as the competition gets harder. Listen, Tennessee, as highly as I think of them, and I just called them an SEC title contender, a national title contender, and playoff contender, it's not the best team Oklahoma's going to play. Texas is better than Tennessee. Ole Miss, I think, is better than Tennessee. Alabama's better than Tennessee. Maybe not. Tennessee might beat Alabama, but Alabama's going to give Oklahoma just as many problems. Alabama's offensive line's really big and looks dominant this season. Jalen Milroe's going to give that defense issues. I think Alabama will find plenty of run success, and they're for sure going to threaten Oklahoma down the field and what is an overrated secondary. They got good safety play. It's pretty good, but all safeties pretty much play good in that system. Their corners cannot keep up with the elite receivers in the SEC. They can't. They showed it last Saturday. They're going to show it again. So again, when I told you not to re-sign Venables and wait to go for Heupel, I wasn't trying to hurt you.
Motherfucker. I'm
Really?
just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you
Yes,
do.
you do, motherfucker. You do need my help, sir. Can't you see that?
You
son
don't
of a
see it.
bitch?
You
Could you
didn't
please
see it.
just let me
You still
check
don't
out my
see it. Y'all
groceries?
are talking playoffs. Y'all are talking playoffs still. Still, you're talking playoffs. I told you I would get a vasectomy if Oklahoma made the playoffs. They're not going to.
Fuck you. I'm trying to help you, motherfucker.
Stop lashing out at me. I'm helping.
Wow, this is.
You gotta ask Jesus Christ. We're
I
all
don't have
sinners.
to do anything.
We're all sinners.
Okay.
He's not gonna.
Every knee will bow. Every knee will bow. Don't forget that. Tennessee, on the other hand, Nico Iamamaliva was 13-21 for 194, 9.2 per completion, a 62.1 QBR. You heard the coach himself. They hit cruise control in the second half. They hit cruise control. They took care of a freshman quarterback. Tennessee has the roster and the ability to hit cruise control and protect their freshman quarterback, unlike Oklahoma was able to do. Jackson Arnold's a bust, and that is a detrimental impact on the Oklahoma program. Jackson Arnold is going to transfer out of Oklahoma after this year. There's no doubt about it. And you better cross your fingers and hope he's not good somewhere else. Honestly, he had no chance when you look at his skill set and what this Oklahoma team is. They don't have the weapons to get consistent separation for him in the passing game. They have zero running game whatsoever. Zero running game. Their scheme is bad. Their running backs are bad. Their offensive line is maybe the worst in the SEC. I'm not kidding. It's maybe the worst offensive line in the SEC. It doesn't get better from here, guys. It gets worse, and you should just prepare yourself from that. Take it for someone that's been there.
Motherfucker. I'm
Really?
just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, motherfucker. You do.
You need a lot of help.
You need my help, sir.
You need a lot of help, Oklahoma. A lot of help. On the other hand, more bad news for the Sooners. This might be the best Texas Longhorns football team of all time. And I don't say that lightly. I know about 2005. And it's still up for debate. I was alive. I was 8 years old for 2005. I've never forgot. I've talked about that team my entire life. I've gotten in arguments with Miami fans in 01. I think it's the greatest team ever. But this team might be better. All right, first and foremost, it's got 40-plus players on the roster that are going to play in the NFL. We are 2-3 deep at every single position on the field, including the quarterback room, as everybody knows by now, right? We got freshmen playing out of their minds. We had 4 players on the All-SEC team this week. 3 of them were on the defensive side of the ball, 2 in the secondary, and with Michael Taff and Jahdae Barron. Jahdae Barron might be the front runner for the Thorpe Award, which he called coming into this season. We have a freshman in Colin Simmons that was on that list. Anthony Hill Jr. was on the list at linebacker. Actually, Colin wasn't on the list, but Colin Simmons was the highest graded freshman edge in week 4. I think that's the second time he's the highest graded freshman edge this season. He had an 80.2 grade off the edge this week by PFF College. You know what I think about them, but still, Nonetheless, everybody can tell that Colin Simmons is playing very well and adapting very well to Austin, Texas. This Texas team is so fucking good. The eye-popping stats of 05 compared to like 01 Miami defensively, we've given up 22 points through 4 weeks of the season, which I think is better than the 01 Miami Hurricanes. We've given up less yards than they gave up through 4 weeks of the season, and this is 2024, not 2001. We're not playing the I formation. All right, we're playing offenses that can put up points. And I get it, ULM's not very good, UTSA's not very good, Colorado State's not been very good. How did Michigan look against USC, though? It's a pretty physical football team. The Texas offense made it look fucking easy. Michigan defense looks like maybe the best in the country if it's not Texas. The Texas offense made it look easy against the Michigan defense. This Texas offense that is scoring like 45 points a game, could be 50 a game easily, probably will eventually eclipse that 50 a game mark. I'm not kidding you. We're 38.5-point favorites in our first SEC game this year against a really bad Mississippi State team, understandably so. But this Texas Longhorns team is very deep. You know, I don't need to talk about the ULM game. It's deep across the board. We got like 7 receivers that'll play in the NFL. We got multiple tight ends that are going to play in the NFL. Our entire offensive line is going to play in the NFL. Their backups are going to play in the NFL. Our entire defensive line is going to play in the NFL. Their backups are going to play in the NFL. Our entire secondary is going to play in the NFL. Every starter on our football team, if you're not picking up on this, is an NFL football player. This offensive line's better than the offensive line in 05. Quinn Ewers, if he stays healthy the rest of the year, is going to have an argument. He might not have the aura of Vince Young, but he could easily walk away saying, hey, I'm the best quarterback that's ever put on the Longhorn helmet. Very good chance. Don't be surprised if he does it at all. All right? This team's very good, very deep. They're better than the 04 Longhorns. They're better than the 08 Longhorns. They're better than the 09 Longhorns. They're sure as hell better than any team before 2000. It's just them in 2005. That's what it's coming down to. And let me tell you something. This team is significantly better than every other team in the country. They got every box checked. The elite quarterback, the elite coach, the elite coaching staff, the elite defense, elite pass rush, elite run defense. They're elite everywhere. There's not another team that I've seen in college football that can say that yet. Ole Miss has to play real teams. We'll see about them. That's the only team that's holding out for that. Every other team you can find a matchup that Texas can exploit. Find a team in the country that can exploit something on Texas. Find a team in the country that you say, that's not a good matchup for the Texas Longhorns. Texas sees this team in the playoffs, they might be in trouble. As of right now, through 4 weeks of the college football season, that team doesn't exist. It's the Texas Longhorns and everybody else beneath them. How about that Colorado game, huh? That was one of the most exciting finishes I've seen in a long time. And shout out to the Colorado Buffaloes. Shout out to Deion Sanders. He deserves all the flowers for turning this program around. By turning it around, it was the worst program in America that he took over. I've bashed them this offseason. I bashed them this season after Nebraska lost. I didn't think they handled those things poorly, very well. I still don't think they do, but they've handled everything since then very well. And guess what? They won their first conference game in the Big 12. I think that they'll have a lot of competitive games in the Big 12. They're not all competitive. They might all be one-possession games for them. And let me tell you something that this Colorado team has in their back pocket. You don't want to get in a one-possession game when that team's got Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Now, Shedeur, one thing Shedeur absolutely has to get better at, he was 25 of 41 for 341 and 2 touchdowns, so his completion percentage isn't as high as it has been at other times. He holds on to the ball too long. All right, the offensive line, we all know it's not the best offensive line in the country, but it's not the worst offensive line in the country either. And a lot of the times he gets hit because he doesn't get it out of his hands fast enough. He can improve on doing that for sure. And another thing Shedeur Sanders does, he leaves the pocket way too early. Sometimes he has a clean pocket and he takes off. Maybe that's just the jitters that he has from the amount of times he's been hit. I understand that, but you got to work on it. You got to get dialed. Got to get better at that. You get better at that, you guys got a chance every game on your schedule. If you don't, there might be games like Utah. I don't know if they play BYU or not, but if they play some physical fronts defensively, like the Nebraska one they played, where the game goes like that, all right? In those games, you got to get it out quick. You got to rise above the occasion. So that's the next step for Shedeur. I still got him as my QB2 right now. Carson Beck sure as hell isn't. I don't know who else you got. Cam Ward. But Shedeur throws a beautiful ball, man. He throws a really, really pretty ball, as you saw on those Hail Mary attempts and other throws in the game. But what a phenomenal finish to that game. Let me pull up the Hail Mary clip real quick. And then I'm going to show you something that Deion Sanders said about the storming of the field, and, of course, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter got to be the Heisman favorite as of today. Travis Hunter is the best player in football. Travis Hunter is one of the best players we've seen in 100 years. The amount of snaps he's playing every game, I think he's going to continue to do it. This is a guy that legitimately has a chance to win the Thorpe Award and the Ben-Derrick Award. I mean, not the Ben-Derrick Award, the Thorpe Award and the Biletnikoff Award. Never been done before. That shit's all over Charles Woodson's season in 98. All right, that is insane. That'll be automatic Heisman, automatic probably number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Travis Hunter needs to be enjoyed and just received with gratitude every single time he laces it up. He's totally unselfish. He's the best leader on that team. He's the heartbeat of that program. Travis Hunter, you can't get enough flowers his way. I'm not really a guy to do that, but Travis Hunter is unbelievable. Every second that we get to watch him play college football is a special treat as college football fans. Let's pull up this Hail Mary. What a finish this game was, dude. Oh, my goodness. Ah, jeez.
Big 12 opener comes down to this play.
Hold on. What a finish.
The Big 12 opener comes down to this play.
In the play before this, given context, they had a play where he dropped a Hail Mary. Number 14 dropped it and probably would have scored. And you feel like that was the deflating moment that they were going to lose the game, and then he hits this. Just unreal moment. And this is like the 4th Hail Mary that Colorado has hit in program history. And then Travis Hunter on the goal line to end the game. Here you are right here. What an unbelievable play. What an unbelievable moment. Got to be the front runner of the Heisman after this. I think Quinn Ewers will immediately take that back, but
they just get it off.
Oh, this isn't the right play. This is the North Dakota State play. What the hell is this? Here it is.
This would be a good look.
What an unbelievable play. I mean, Baylor, this is an overtime. They're easily walking into the end zone to score tied up. They could go for 2 for the win. And Travis Hunter meets the guy on the 1-inch line, puts his shoulder pad right where the ball's at, and knocks it out for a fumble. I mean, what an unbelievable play. You don't find more clutch than that. Both sides of the ball, this guy. Both sides of the football. Colorado recovers, they win the game. They storm the field, right? The storming of the field got a lot of flack from the Colorado haters around the world. Let me show you what Deion Sanders said about it and why I agree with it. All right, let's get this off. There's a clip. Here's what Deion Sanders had to say about the storming of the field.
I want to apologize to the opposition, the way we stormed the field, and I didn't get an opportunity to go and shake the head coach's hand, but I did try to go over to the locker room and wait it out until he came out, but I don't think they got the word to him because that's not professional. I wanted to shake his hand and acknowledge, but I don't like what transpired at the end of the game, but I love what transpired at the end of the game. We have a fan base that's phenomenal. We have some young kids on this campus that loves and breathes CU football, and I'm thankful. I want to apologize to...
Yeah, no, I could not agree with Deion Sanders anymore here. All right, we got to get to the point. I'm trying to be objective about Colorado. When Colorado does something that I think is dumb, I come on my podcast and I say I think this was really dumb. And don't act like it's not really dumb just because you're a Colorado fan. Colorado is like the Dak Prescott of college football. Whereas whoever you're talking to, depending on who it is, they are either way too extremely biased for Colorado and won't acknowledge any issues that they have in the program, anything that Shedeur has done wrong, anything that Shiloh has done wrong, anything that's made them look goofy, silly, embarrassing. They won't acknowledge any of that. Everything is good, and they just get unnecessary hate, right? That's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is people that won't acknowledge anything that Colorado does good, and they go over the top with their hate, and they reach with their hate. I saw Oklahoma fans talking shit about them storming the field in this game. Like they didn't storm the field against Texas in the 2021 Cotton Bowl, right? The Texas team that didn't even make a bowl game. You stormed the field against them. Everybody's saying, why are you storming the field against Baylor? It's not good. Oh, I don't know. Because of the moment. Have you never been captured by a moment in your life? Are you kidding me? Did you see how that game just ended? Colorado was dead. They get the ball back. They get down to the 50-yard line. They have 2 Hail Mary attempts. They drop one of them. They come inches away from that triumph that they eventually had the very next play. Felt like it was deflated. They come back. They have a Hail Mary to send this game to overtime. They hit it. The guy slips in the wet rain, comes back towards the football, catches it, keeping his arms underneath it in an unbelievable catch on the last seconds of regulation. They go to overtime. They score in like 2 or 3 plays. They give Baylor the ball. Baylor's moving right down the field, and Travis Hunter, your two-way superstar, arguably the Heisman favorite, should be the Heisman favorite, best player in college football, awesome guy, stops the dude on the 1-yard line, making him fumble. They recover and win the game, so they storm the field. You idiots. They were the worst team in college football before Deion Sanders took over. Deion Sanders is coaching his way into a better coaching job. Quite frankly, if Florida strikes out on a bunch of people, don't be surprised if they call Deion Sanders. How high is the likelihood? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at a 4 right now, but that's pretty high if you ask me. Deion Sanders is doing a good job. This team is a team that I thought was going to fall apart and get blown out every week, potentially go 1-9. It could have been a disaster. They could have looked humiliating in the process, and they're not. Baylor, on the other hand, Aranda's done. Aranda's done. That's a bad program, all right? The decision-making from the coverage at the end of the game throughout the entirety of the game was terrible. It continues to be terrible. He's not a head coach. He never really felt like a head coach. I think they went to a Big 12 championship early in his tenure, so he's kind of riding off of that. It's time to move on. He's not going to recruit well enough. He's not going to get any transfers in there. He doesn't even have the energy to seem like he cares that much or acknowledges how bad it is. He's collecting checks at this point. I don't really see a future for Baylor under Dave Aranda. Gotta go, gotta be done. Colorado, the rest of the year, they got UCF next. It's a tough opponent, very tough opponent. If you beat UCF, you're for real. Your chances of the Big 12 are just as good as anybody else in the Big 12. Kansas State just got dominated by BYU. Their quarterback is overrated. I thought Kansas State was going to be good. I picked them in my Big 12 championship. Picked both Kansas teams in the Big 12 championship. I was wrong on that. Couldn't have been more wrong on that. Looks like the 2 Utah teams are going to be in the Big 12 championship. Right hand up. I don't mind being wrong. This is about engagement on the SJ show. But, maybe Colorado, you got a better quarterback than Kansas State has. Maybe Kansas State's too big and strong up front. I don't know that any Big 12 team really is that. And that includes the Utah teams. So, listen, they can beat Arizona. They can sure as hell beat Cincinnati and Texas Tech. They can sure as hell beat Kansas. And they can sure as hell beat Oklahoma State as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I would pick them to beat Oklahoma State. Alan Bowman's not Shedeur Sanders. And if this team continues to improve, what if they get better every week on defense? What if they show effort every single week? You know how much a defense is attitude and just team play? That's almost all of it, especially in college football. So bravo to Colorado, and good on their fans for storming the field and being so excited about this program, packing it out every home game. Good for Colorado having something to be excited about. If you're going to bash them when they do stupid shit, then you got to be on the other side and be willing to lift them up when they're good. Good on Colorado. They won, and they got all of their goals in front of them, including making the playoffs. Do I think they make the playoffs? No, but the goals are still on the table through 4 weeks of the season. There's a lot of teams that can't say that. USC and Michigan played in the Big House in USC's first Big Ten game. It was an excellent game with a lot to take away from it. Alex Orji, 7 of 12 for 32 yards. That's not a first quarter stat. That's a full game stat. As a team, Michigan almost clipped 300 yards for the second week in a row. They found their identity again. Khalil Mullings took over the starting job as far as I'm concerned. 17 carries, 159 yards. He averaged 9.4 yards per carry. He had 2 touchdowns along a 63. That was a touchdown. Donovan Edwards had 14 for 74, 5.3 a carry. 1 touchdown, and that was a 41-yarder for him. Alex Orji at the quarterback position on designed QB runs had 13 carries. 43 yards, 3.3 a carry. That was very much good enough. If he can continue to improve as a passer week in, week out, there will be games where you can throw it a little bit more. You're going to have to in some of the games. This Michigan team can win every game on their schedule as well, and I said that last week to you guys. I tried to tell you that defense is legit. Don't let what the Texas Longhorns did fool you. The defense is legit. Let's look at the team stats and what they did, and then I'm going to talk about and brag about Miller Moss for a little bit to end it. But let's see if I can pull up some telling stats in this game. Team stats-wise. They held USC to 379 total yards. Most of that came in the second half. I thought I had some stats to the first 3 quarters. Well, they hit Miller Moss on over half of his dropbacks. I think it was like 34 of 60-something dropbacks that he got hit on straight dropback passing or something like that. Or it was like 15 to 30. How many throws did he have? He had 51 passes, all right? So he was 28 for 51. I think over 30 of his 51 drop back passes he got hit on. And I bet over the half of the ones that he didn't get hit on were balls that got out very quickly, right? Or just miscommunication on the Michigan side of things. So this dude got the snot knocked out of him for 4 quarters. Every single time he dropped back to pass, he could pretty much count on getting his shit rocked. And he never lost composure. He still finished the game with 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and they almost won it. They found their running game. 13 carries, 100 yards from their running back, Woody Marks. Their leading receiver was Zachariah Branch, 6 receptions, 98 yards. He found some electric moments in the game. I think he came short of a touchdown, and maybe there was an overthrow or a situation where he got hit. I don't remember how that went down. He had a missed touchdown in that game, though. Michigan, USC played good. Here's the thing about the USC team that you could say. Michigan came in to beat you up. There was points in that game where it looked like they were going to beat you up, and everybody was going to leave saying you were soft again. Well, if you're USC, they can't call you soft anymore. Can't call you hard either. No diddy, but they can't call you soft. I don't think you're hard yet. Not yet. But you're not soft. USC fights back now. All right, where they used to not. That old Rocky meme. Fight back. Fight back. Throw the damn towel. That's not USC anymore. They do fight back. They play with effort defensively now. They tackle now. They don't just fold over and cave. They had good linebacker play. That linebacker that was playing very well. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. He got hurt. But he played very well throughout the game. Was a very bright spot in that game. I think it's Eric Gentry. Yeah, Eric Gentry, 12 total tackles, 8 solo, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. They played very good. They forced a turnover in a critical moment. Were able to take the lead, forcing a fumble on Donovan Edwards, which effectively got him benched for Mullings to come in and ice the game. Michigan was able to come in on a 90-yard drive without throwing a forward pass and go all the way down the field. And on a 4th and 1 on the goal line, just being stronger and having more will than that USC team, got the yard and won the game. That was a Michigan game for you. Michigan is winning the Big Ten year in, year out without needing a forward pass, and that's unbelievable. I love to see that in the modern era of college football. But Miller Moss may be the best quarterback in the Big Ten this year. The kid's got balls the size of beanbags. And like I said, the USC team, they can still compete for this conference. Their goals are still in front of them. They got Wisconsin, they'll win. Minnesota, they'll win. This USC team's going to beat Penn State. They'll beat Maryland. They'll beat Rutgers. They'll beat Washington. They should beat Nebraska. They should beat the snot out of UCLA, and then they finish with Notre Dame. I think they'll be favored in every game for the rest of the year. This USC team's good. They got a good quarterback. They're playing a little bit of defense. Like I said, you're not hard, but you're not soft. Like, you're not flaccid D, but y'all ain't fully torqued either. You're somewhere in between. But you're on the way to being fully torqued. You're one blue chew away, no free shout-outs, from being fully torqued, right? Like, you're not fully erectile dysfunction. You're not flaccid D, but you're not fully torqued. You're not Johnny Sins either. All right? So that's your takeaway defensively if you're USC. But offensively, you got the guy, and you're going to love this guy. He's going to fall, the fan bases, they probably already fallen in love with him, but when it's all said and done, Miller Moss will be a legend at USC, I think, by the way he'll play this year. He's a Stetson Bennett, but a little bit better skill-wise, in my opinion. I think he's got more shit to him than Stetson Bennett does, and that's a good thing. All right, so USC-Michigan, what a great game. Michigan, everything's still on the table for them as well. Great bounce back, and it turns out that Texas team is just really fucking good because that USC defense that suffocated USC for most of the game, couldn't do anything to stop Texas. Texas got whatever they wanted. Michigan's got Minnesota, Washington. They'll win both of those. Illinois, that's going to be a tough game. What a physical football game that'll be. Then they play Michigan State, Oregon, Indiana, Northwestern, and they finish at Columbus, Ohio in the horseshoe against Ohio State. By then, who's to say Alex Orji hasn't found a little something in the passing game, found a little more confidence. Michigan's schedule works out in their favor. Hate to tell that to you guys that hate Big Blue. Michigan's schedule works out in their favor. Winning that USC game was gigantic because they're playing at home again 4 straight home games they had. They play at home again against Minnesota. They'll be too big, too strong for Minnesota. They'll win the game. Then they go to Washington, to Illinois, 2 tough road games. And then it's back home against Michigan State, little brother. And then it's at home against Oregon. Having Oregon in the big house is huge. And I'll tell you something for free. Dylan Gabriel is going to struggle against Michigan. That Oregon high completion percentage weak ass offense, good luck against Michigan doing that. Good luck. And then when you try to throw it down the field, good luck blocking them. They'll beat Indiana. They'll beat Northwestern. And then it comes down to the big game. And that game's going to mean just as much as it meant the last few years, just as much as it means every year. Let's end this on Hugh Freeze. Sorry, clicked the wrong button. End this on Hugh Freeze. Let's start with his original audio from this past weekend. This is what Hugh Freeze had to say after the Auburn debacle against Arkansas, where they looked terribly offensively. Obviously, Peyton Thorne has played very bad this season, turned it over a lot. Here's what he had to say about Peyton Thorne. It got a large reaction from the college football world afterwards.
Unfortunately, this is what I know, and I know that there's people open, and I know that we're running the football. And we got to find a guy that won't throw it to the other team. And we got to find running backs that hold on to it. You know, that's a huge play there. I mean, we're going in to score. I don't know, what was it, 7-0 then? Or so it's 7-7, and our defense gets a stop, and who knows what happens. But
So listen, this gets clipped. And, of course, Hugh Freeze is not very well liked in the college football community, especially in SEC circles. And it gets a very negative reaction, right? Oh, Hugh Freeze throwing his players under the bus again. Is he? Yeah, he is, a little bit. But if you watch the entire press conference, in the first 36 seconds, Hugh Freeze said how bad of a job they've done coaching this football team, him and his staff. He took accountability in the first 40 seconds of the press conference. So, you could call this throwing his players under the bus, or you could call it holding his players accountable. This is who Hugh Freeze is. This is who he has always been. Bo Wallace, his former quarterback at Ole Miss, went scorched earth on Twitter on him, talking about how he's the worst person in the history of time and ruined his life. I'm sorry, Bo Wallace, it's time to move on. All right, that sucks. I'm sure there's some merit to what you're talking about. Time to move on, all right, because Hugh Freeze is making a lot of money to coach the Auburn Tigers. I don't know what you're doing. But Hugh Freeze went ahead and doubled down today. And this is what he had to say and what he said to Sam Pittman in the postgame and what he thinks about that Arkansas team compared to his Auburn team. Here's the Hugh Freeze snippet of that.
And those are the truths of the game. And, yeah, and it's the truth for me, too. I'm not – because we've got to get them to where the winning ways are happening on those critical downs. I mean no offense whatsoever to Arkansas or to Cal. I love Sam Pittman. I hope he wins the rest of his games. But I'm telling you, the hard truth is we play them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times. And that's what's hard to take.
This has also gotten a terrible reaction from the college football community. Now, look, I don't really understand outside of just pure Hugh Freeze hatred. This is this is what he does. This is what he's always done. There's a few things I got to say about it. First, if you're Auburn, can you do better? I don't think you can. I think you need to ride the ship with Hugh Freeze. Give him time. He's recruiting very good at the high school level. You're giving him the resources to do so. I understand if you're a booster, if you're one of those guys giving Hugh Freeze the resources to do this, and you look around your counterparts at Georgia, Alabama, Texas now, other schools in the SEC, and you're like, their resources seem to be going further than ours. Why didn't we get a transfer quarterback? That's a fair gripe. That's a very fair gripe. But at the same time, the resources that y'all have used and the players that y'all have gotten just aren't ready yet. They're young players that y'all got out of high school. Now, going into this next transfer portal, you do definitely need to be able to cherry pick a few guys that fill holes for you guys immediately going into next year. You can't do the same thing and rinse and repeat what you did last year, but if you continue to recruit at the high school level and then you can cherry pick from the transfer portal or be selective in the transfer portal and use your money appropriately and wisely, then this is the best coach I think you're going to get. And Hugh Freeze is always going to have sound bites. He's always going to have players that probably leave his program and don't really think that highly of him. Hugh Freeze is a certified piece of shit. There's no getting around that, no arguing that he's not. You guys hired a certified piece of shit, and you knew that when you hired him. But what Hugh Freeze can do is he can call offense, and he will find success on offense before he leaves Auburn unless you fire him prematurely. All right? And Hugh Freeze can win games that he's not supposed to either. And you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to do that at some point this year. The other thing I'll tell you, one good team to get back on this year, a good get-right game, is the Oklahoma Sooners. Don't fool yourself. A lot of people are going to pick Oklahoma this week to win and win easily. They're going to bash Hugh Freeze. They got these snippets of him, and it's fun to kick a guy while he's down. It's the easy thing to do. Auburn has just as big of a chance at home to win this game as Oklahoma has to win any game on their schedule. Like, that Oklahoma team, like I said, is still atrocious. Their offensive line is still going to be bad against Auburn next week. I don't know that their quarterback play is going to be that much better than it has been. As long as he just doesn't have atrocious turnovers, then it will be. But listen, this is a redshirt freshman. He is not even as highly ranked as Jackson Arnold was coming out. Okay, maybe Jackson Arnold's a bust, but this isn't a 5-star. They keep throwing around 5-star. He was a 4-star. He was a 3-star on 24/7, a 4-star on Rivals and on 3. I don't know where we're getting this 5-star talk out of the Oklahoma, out of the Hawkins kid. He's a 4-star. He's a top 200 prospect. He's a guy that typically would take time to develop. And if you watch the film from last week, he looks like he has areas to improve on as a quarterback. All right, they're going to have a game plan for him this week, unlike Tennessee. Hugh Freeze and his players are going to go out there and play the game too, and they're going to play the game to win it. And they're hearing all this stuff. Well, maybe they're not hearing it the way y'all are hearing it. I think if you're an Auburn Tigers fan, if you're an Auburn Tigers player right now, you need to buy into what Hugh Freeze is doing. He's probably trying to twist the knife and piss people off, from the coaching staff to the players. And that's probably what he needs to do, quite frankly, because they're not playing good enough and they're blowing games that they shouldn't blow. I don't know that he's wrong on that comment about Arkansas. I don't know that they don't beat them 9 times out of 10 if they don't make 500 mistakes in a football game. So clean up your mistakes and let's see where it takes you. But this game's winnable. And with Hugh Freeze, who knows? If you get good quarterback play against an Alabama this year, you saw last year, you can win that game. You can pull a horseshoe out of your ass. Now, if you don't, you're going to have other coaches around the country like Lane Kiffin, which is at Hugh Freeze's former employer, Ole Miss, throwing salt in the wound by saying
it's that
stuff
relationship.
like this.
I just think from on the field, there's a trust level there of, we spend a lot of time with him and then let him play too on Saturdays. And I just think that, like you said, it started one way. I think that, you build that, especially for a guy that we didn't really recruit out of high school, any of that, didn't have a previous relationship. And I think it pays off, when you have relationships and the quarterbacks trust you too, and you go back to Matt Corral when he threw 6 interceptions, and before I even got to the media, sitting down with him, telling him, we got to do a better job calling plays. I got to coach better, and don't worry, we got your back. And so I think that goes a long ways, and goes a long ways.
So this is clearly being taken as a little undertone shot at Hugh Freeze, and I think it was. I think he is directing this towards Hugh Freeze and Auburn and what they're doing. And Lane Kiffin is an all-time great troll. That's why he's one of my favorite coaches of all time. I love Lane Kiffin. I'm at the front of the Lane Kiffin glazing train. No, I'm not ashamed to say it. I glaze Lane Kiffin every day of the week and twice on Saturdays. And yet, this applies to both teams playing in Auburn, Alabama this week. This applies to Oklahoma just as much as it applies to Auburn. In fact, I would say it applies to Oklahoma more than it does to Auburn, because Hugh Freeze actually did take accountability. Like I said, in the first 36 seconds of his press conference, he said, we've done a terrible job on this coaching staff, coaching and calling plays for this football team. We got to do better. So the first thing he did is pointed at himself and the coaching staff. And then he went on to say that we need better quarterback play. I don't know that he's benched Peyton Thorne. If he has, I just haven't seen it. And you guys could call me an idiot. I am an idiot. I'm a certified dumbass. I don't give a shit. But and I don't fact check. This isn't a fact checking podcast, never will be. But if he hasn't given up on his quarterback like Oklahoma did. Oklahoma went on an entire offseason campaign talking about the future in Jackson Arnold. Every other Oklahoma fan page you see on Twitter had Jackson Arnold as their profile picture, and they turned on him in under 4 games in his college football career at Oklahoma. They turned on him, they gave up on him, and he's done there. He's going to be transferring at the end of the year, regardless of what happens moving forward, even if he has to start games this year. It's done. It didn't work at Oklahoma, and that's a disaster. So what Lane Kiffin said there, sure, it might be a shot at Hugh Freeze, and it might apply to Hugh Freeze, but it applies just as much to Brent Venables at Oklahoma. This was the Shonee Jackson Show. This was number 21. I love you guys more than you know. Not as much as you think. Have a good week. I'll see you guys on Thursday. God bless.